Welcome to this week's edition of Your Financial Compass, the show dedicated to helping you successfully navigate to and through your retirement. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and joining me in the studio are two members from the Bulman Wealth Group team. We have the founder, Chris Bulman, and financial advisor, Scott Villan. We've got a great show for you today. The title of today's show is The Treasure of Your Lost or Forgotten 401k, How to Unlock Your Hidden Retirement Potential. And if you are looking for ways to simplify, organize, and maximize your retirement savings, you're not going to want to miss today's show. Chris, Scott, always a joy to be here with both of you. And now's here's the part where I wait and I never know what's going to come out of your mouths next, right?
What's not?
Something pleasant will come from me. Yeah. We never know what's going to come from him.
There's a bunch of hot air. He did say how cold he was. So the treasure of having a son, Chris has 4 sons, and he saw his oldest son's food bill from In-N-Out. He ate like 9 hamburgers.
Oh,
and then
$5 for one
dude. He's what, 16?
Yeah.
Wow.
And my son has just turned 8. My wife and him went to dinner last night at Chick-fil-A, and she's like, Jordan ate 18 nuggets.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
yeah.
Bigfoot, yeah. Bigfoot?
Yeah. I mean, you talk about how expensive it is to live in California. It is.
Yes.
So we're just going to talk about that today. So questions about.
We were talking to a gentleman the other night, and one guy walked in. He was talking about his Lamborghinis that his son races.
Okay. Yep.
Another guy says, "Oh yeah, I just bought my Lamborghini. Thanks for the tip." And Scott and I look at each other and we're like, This guy doesn't have any kids for sure.
Yeah.
When you have 4 kids, Lamborghini is like not on the menu for a while.
On the hot priority list, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
although I would get more time alone in the car.
You would.
With no backseat.
We've had enough time talking. Let's move on.
All right. So the impetus for today's show, we are calling this the treasure of your lost or forgotten 401k. And one of the things I want to set up front is we're going to use the term 401k, but really this applies to any of you who might have an old dormant workplace retirement plan left behind. It could be a 401k, a 403b, 457, TSP, what have you. But we're going to use the term 401k to encompass all those accounts. But really, the inspiration for today's show has come from the significant growth of forgotten 401k accounts. And I have some statistics here that we want to share with our viewers. This is according to the fintech company Capitalize. And as of May 2023, this is what they reported, there are 29.2 million left behind or forgotten 401k accounts. They hold approximately 1.65 trillion, that's trillion with a T, dollars in assets. This represents 25% of all 401k plan assets currently invested, and the average American worker has 3 to 5 old dormant or forgotten retirement accounts floating around out there, and the average balance in these lost 401ks, get this, is over $56,000. So Chris, Scott, no wonder we need to go on a treasure hunt. Most people on average have 3 to 5 old accounts around out there with an average balance of over $56,000. That's real money.
Yeah, it's really kind of crazy when you see the stats, and then there's another one to just piggyback off that. The Bureau of Labor Statistics said if you were born between 1957 and 1964, the average person in that time frame has worked 12 jobs.
Yes. Yep.
Like, I'm going to need a new one after Chris fires me after this show. But the point is, it happens all the time, and a lot of times, you know, you start a new job, you work a year, you work 6 months, you work 2 years. Generally, if you started a 401k at one place, at a prior job, you're going to do it every time, and you start collecting these accounts, and sometimes you forget. It's like washing your pants, and you pull out, it's like, oh, there's a $10 bill in there.
Right.
It's always a nice thing, but it's just so common now. It's rare to meet someone who doesn't have an old, you know, when we're talking with someone for the first time that doesn't have old accounts floating out there somewhere.
Well, that was going to be my next question. How often are you seeing this when folks come in to meet with you for the first time?
I mean, often. We have a case recently where some folks that we were clients and passed away. And we met all the time. We talk about 5 major things when we talk to our clients. Income planning, you know, asset management, legacy planning, healthcare planning, and tax planning. And we talked about all these things. But this, we didn't find out until after he passed away. We're talking to his partner now.
Right.
Turns out he had 3 other old 401ks.
Wow. And he never had brought that up and talked
Never
about it?
brought it up. Oh, one was like 80,000, one was 100,000. So all the planning that we were doing was without all the facts, right?
Yes, yeah.
And then his partner, who has now become a client, also has 4 401ks. They work in the hotel industry, so they move hotels, move
Sure.
catering, whatever it is.
Right.
So they, as Scott was saying, they start different 401ks, and then they leave them. You have an option when you leave a company. You can take the 401k with you to your new company, which I don't think is the best option. You can roll it into an IRA, which is a good option, or you sometimes can leave it there. And companies sometimes will let you try not to get you to leave, take it with you, because they make fees on those 401ks.
Right. It behooves them to keep that money. Right.
And they don't have to do anything. They're not contacting you. You're not contacting them. The beneficiaries are probably not correct.
Right.
You don't know how the thing's performing. All of these things are happening. Or if you worked with a financial planner, consolidated these accounts, or did something the right way, which would be a lot better than leaving them all out there.
Sure.
I mean, imagine you pass away and now your beneficiaries have to reach out and try to contact all these different companies. They won't talk to you if you're not the beneficiary. They won't even tell you if you're the beneficiary.
Yeah.
or not.
Right.
Yeah.
And this goes for banks too, by the way. So
Yes.
I'm opening up a can of worms here. But
Cut his mic, Levi. We need to move on.
get your beneficiaries correct. Get your 401ks consolidated, your IRAs, and your bank accounts. Get those things set up correctly as well.
Yes. All right. So you just unpacked a whole lot that we're going to go through in a little more detail. This is awesome. No, this is great. But you mentioned, I mean, why do you think it's so common for people to live or to leave this money behind? First of all, we know people are working several different jobs. Gone are the days of womb to tomb employment where you graduated from college, you got a job, you worked for the same company for 40 years, and then you retired with a gold watch and a pension, right? People are switching jobs, so we know that that's happening. But why are some other reasons why this money is being left behind, in your opinion?
Well, this just popped in my head, but you think down the street where I live at, everyone is parking in their driveway because you go in their garage and there's crap everywhere. Pardon my French. Chris, his garage is one of them. But there's so much stuff and they collect it. They don't get rid of it and life gets in the way. It's just par for the course nowadays. No one wants to tidy up. I'm one of those weird people that likes to clean and get rid of old stuff. But that's not the norm. So I think it's just, you're so excited about a new job, you don't think about it. It's extra work.
Right.
You don't just snap a finger and it transfers. There's work involved. That's probably part of it.
It can be confusing. There can also be a lack of knowing what your options are.
not knowing what to do with it.
Right,
And so you're kind of a prisoner. I'll just leave it and get to it 5 years from now, and then you totally forget you have it.
Well, I want to just pause and encourage our viewers, because if this is you, we want you to know you're not alone. Here's another stat for you. A 2020 study by Fidelity revealed that approximately 30% of people who left a job had either forgotten about or lost track of their old 401k accounts. And so, this is the problem. This money doesn't automatically come with you when you leave a job. And so there's options, but a lot of people don't know what those options are. So Chris, you touched on them, but let's really break it down for folks. Typically, when someone's leaving a previous place of employment, what options do they have with that 401k or workplace retirement plan?
Yeah, one is to do nothing, right? Leave it there.
Which clearly a lot of people are doing.
Which 30% of them are doing that.
Right.
Which we don't agree with.
Yes.
Another one would be roll the 401k into an IRA, a traditional IRA, or a Roth if you're going to do a conversion, but roll it into an IRA. It's a non-taxable event, so sometimes people say, well, I don't want to roll it over because then I have to pay taxes.
I was going to say, there's that misconception. They think they're going to trigger a tax liability,
so it goes from one qualified account to another. It's a tax-free transfer. And now, when you're in your old 401k, you have, 8 to 12 maybe mutual funds to choose from. Now you roll it over to an IRA, you can invest in anything you want. It can be stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, annuities, anything that you want.
Right.
So that's one place to put it. You can also, if you have a 401k at your new job, once you're eligible to participate in that 401k, you can roll the old 401k into the new 401k. Here's the downside of that. If there's a downside, that's better than leaving it. But the downside is you can never move it out of that new 401k until you leave that job.
Right, yeah.
So the one opportunity you get to have self-management of that money is when you leave a job, discontinue service, you can roll it into an IRA.
Right.
You can always, if you change your mind later, you can always roll that IRA into your 401k at your new job, but you can't roll the money out into an IRA while you're still working unless you have a termination of service, or sometimes when you're 59 and a half, companies will then allow you to move it to your IRA.
Yes. So
those are a couple of options.
Yeah, but to your point too, the companies aren't reaching out to people because it's in their best interest as the custodian to hold on to that money because they're earning money on that money, right? It's not being managed for free. So I think it's really important to help folks understand you do have options. There are things you can do, and it is in fact in your best interest to take control of your money. So Before we go to the first break, I'd love for you just to do a quick rundown of what are some of the risks and problems with having old accounts floating around out there.
Well, as you said right off the bat, 30% of people forget they have them. So as you're trying to get take stock of what you have, if you're starting to kind of map out your financial future and you're missing 50 grand here, 60 grand, 80 grand, as Chris was telling the story, you just forget what ingredients are in the mix. Things aren't working in tandem. Like, a lot of times when, say, someone's 60 years old and they've got old 401ks, they're still invested for their 35-year-old version of themselves, a lot more aggressive. So it's probably not mirroring your current risk profile. So that'll, let alone, and as you said too, it's just the average 401k has 15 to 30 options to choose from. If you move it into an IRA, if you manage it yourself or have someone like us manage it, there's a plethora, however you say that, of our cornucopia of options to use.
Yeah, and so again, and I've even heard of stories of accounts just literally getting lost. Custodians could change. Maybe you've moved, you've changed addresses, they don't know how to get a hold of you. So again, there's so many things that can go wrong with having these old dormant accounts, and that's why we want to go on this treasure hunt with you and for you to help you gather up these lost and forgotten 401k plans. So what's the solution? What do you help?
Let me simplify. There's a few different solutions, but let me just simplify. Some people come in and they want to know every answer to every question. That's fine. Some people come in and they just go, I'm just tired of having all of these. Can you help me? And it's literally as simple as that. We have staff that gets on the phone with your 401k vendor, literally gets on the phone with them, conferences you in, and they'll even wait on hold so they don't conference you in until the hold's done. And then we just have the conversation right there with the vendor. We have your IRA already open. We transfer those accounts. Then next thing you know, you have one account, maybe instead of four. It's consolidated. You have a financial advisor to talk to. You have a whole team at Bulman Wealth Group to talk to. Anytime you need any servicing, income, whatever it might be, add more, whatever it might be. So you don't have to be in it all by yourself.
Right. Well, and that's something that I think a lot of folks feel overwhelmed by, and you can just make it really simple for them. And this is something that can be discussed during this complimentary financial compass review. Yeah, you see the number below. You can call that, you can scan the QR code, and everything just starts with a conversation. Everyone has a different concern. You can call the number, maybe this is it. I got all these old accounts, I don't know what to do. Or just any kind of financial question or concern in general. Call the number, we'll set up a time to talk, we'll get to know your situation, and then see if our conversation needs to go further on from there. Wonderful. Scott, Chris, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call to schedule your complimentary financial compass review is 888-970-4685. Or if you'd rather connect online, you can simply pull out your smartphone, scan that QR code that you see there down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That will take you to a landing page, ask you a few short, simple questions, and then a member of the team from Bulman Wealth will reach out to connect with you to schedule your complimentary review that way as well. We'll be back with more right after this.
The team at Bulman Wealth Group is exceptional, from our advisor team to our service team, which is, I think, second to none. But it all revolves around the idea that our clients are vitally important.
One of the ways I feel like we differentiate ourselves is we want a relationship with our clients. And I really learned that from Chris. Is there's so many dollars and cents and all this information to know, but at the end of the day, it's got to be a trust and a like, because we're partnering with somebody. So I want them to think a trip to see me is not a trip to the DMV or to the dentist, but it's just being able to share in the good times and be available to be a resource in the bad times too.
Our clients are our friends, so really view them as part of our family because we go through some pretty significant life events. So it's really being a partner with our clients through all those life events and through the life journey.
Have you considered refinancing your retirement? When interest rates are low, you might be able to refinance your homes, your car loans, and even your credit card rates, because it could help you keep more of your own money each month. But what happens when interest rates go up? It may make sense to refinance your retirement. Higher interest rates could provide income opportunities that you may not be aware of. What works for your portfolio during low interest rates may not work for you in a high interest rate environment. So don't look down at today's higher
interest rates. Instead, find out if a retirement refi could work better for you. Call the number you see here or scan the QR code below to schedule your complimentary Refi Your Retirement review today.
Welcome back to Your Financial Compass. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, here with Chris and Scott from Bulman Wealth Group. And today we are talking about the treasure of your lost or forgotten 401k, 403b, whatever workplace retirement plan you might have. As we said earlier in the show, statistics show that 30% of people are leaving behind accounts when they leave a previous place of employment. And these accounts have average balances in them of over $56,000. That's real money that could be used to set you up for success in retirement. So clearly you had mentioned that the solution is to help folks consolidate these old dormant accounts. What are some of the other benefits besides just simplifying your life? What are some key financial benefits to doing this consolidation?
Yeah, sometimes it comes down to efficiency. So, say you've been working for decades and you're one of the people that has these old accounts. A lot of the old 401k structured plans from bygone days, or however you say that, have higher internal fee structures before things got more streamlined. And so if you've got this old account that's 20 years old, 15 years old, it could be working at 2x the fee of what you'd currently be paying in your new 401k, or what an advisor might be charging you to manage the accounts directly. So I was thinking, it's like paying for a gym membership that you don't use. It's just it's sunk money. If you got this old account that you have no control over, just sitting there, and you're paying this high fee on it because it's an out-of-date plan, it's even more reason to potentially consolidate and for the efficiency aspect of it.
How does consolidating also help with the growth and performance of your money over the long term?
Well, I think just keeping track of it, number one. I mean, we've seen people come in. Imagine 10, 15 years ago, maybe you left your job, or it was 2008, and you were worried about the market, so you put all your money in cash or all in the bond section or something like that. And then a couple months later, you left your job. You forgot about it. Now for the last 15 years of a bull market, or 17 years, your money's been sitting in cash. Because you didn't think about it, and that I've seen that happen. So that's one of the the other thing. A lot of the investments available today were not even available before 2020.
Right.
So a lot of the buffered accounts, as we get older, a lot of us want to take some of the risk off the table. Kind of, it's like we want to have one foot in and one foot out. When the markets go up, we want to be in, but when the markets go down, we don't want to be in.
Right.
And so there's investments that are built for that, like whether it's buffered ETFs or fixed annuities, things like that. Those are available now. They're not available in those old 401ks.
Right.
So by consolidating, you're actually giving yourself a better chance to hit the returns you want to hit without stressing yourself out.
For sure. Well, and again, there's also the tax consequences, which a lot of people, the reason they shy away from consolidating is they think it's going to create and trigger a taxable event, but it actually doesn't, right?
Correct. I always say it's like moving the money from one pocket to the other. As long as it's going from what we call like to like, then it doesn't trigger tax. So say you've got a traditional 401k, not a Roth 401k, a traditional. As long as you move that over, say you're transferring it out into an IRA, as long as it goes from a traditional 401k into a traditional IRA, it does not trigger taxes. The only way it would is if you're going straight to a Roth IRA, which in some instances you might do, but in the majority of the cases, it's going from like to like, traditional to traditional. It does not trigger taxes. It does not count as income.
The other thing I would add is one of the largest reasons people come to us is to have this idea of having a comprehensive financial plan. Like, I'm 55 years old. I want to know what my life looks like at 60, at 65, at 70, at 75. Am I going to run out of money? Am I going to have enough am I going to be able to leave money to my kids? Things like that. Well, if we know where your accounts are, we have an accounting of them, we simplify it, we can build a financial plan. That ultimately brings the most, I guess, reduces the fear and anxiety of the future for most of our clients. But if you have accounts everywhere, anytime you have that kind of stress in your life, it's not good.
No.
So simplification is good as we get older.
And another thing too that comes up sometimes, well, I'm going to leave it here and I'm just going to call my 401k in this old plan, and I can call them and ask, am I in the right fund? if you call a company about either your current 401k or old one, they don't give you advice.
No.
Like, well, should I be in this fund or this fund? They're like, this is Jake from State Farm.
Right,
Like, I'm
they're
wearing
not
khakis.
able to
I can't
give you-
help you.
Right.
So you don't get advice from them. That's not the role that they serve.
Well, and they can't look at all the other pieces of your financial puzzle and see what would make the most sense. And another thing I was thinking, another benefit is I think of the example you shared of someone who might have 3 accounts out there. One's 80,000 over here, 100,000 over there. Well, that money could be working together for you, compounding on itself. That's a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah, there's so many reasons, and one of them is to move them to an IRA and work with a financial professional is because we don't know what we don't know. And so if you're sitting back there and you have questions, you've gone to some dinner seminars or some workshops or you've read some articles, but you still don't know where to go. One of the things we have this tax bill calculator. We've married the idea of a robo-advisor where you just put in some information, you can scroll back and forth. But what comes with that, and with everything we do, is personal advice, personalized, tailored to you, based on what your assets, what your old 401ks say, and your IRAs, all those things. And we tailor it all to each individual.
Yeah, well, you mentioned that tax bill calculator. We'll have to share with our viewers when we come back from break more about that. But if any of this is resonating with you, if you're that person and you're like, yep, that's me, I fit the statistics, I've got 3 to 5 old accounts floating around out there, and you haven't known what to do with them, or you want help figuring out how to consolidate them, the team of Bulman Wealth Group is here for you. And it starts by you picking up the phone and making this phone call to receive your very own complimentary financial compass review. 888-970-4685, or again, you're welcome to scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. We'll be back with more right after this.
I became a financial advisor coming out of the tough times of the tech bubble in the late 90s, early 2000s. Moved to California, uprooted my life, changed everything, and then 9/11 happened the first week in this industry. I was prepared already to help people from tough times coming out of the tech bubble, but what we didn't expect is there were 3 years in a row when I started of the market dropping. That really impacted my whole career. It crafted and created how we manage money. We don't want our clients to ever lose like that. And so everything we do is built on protection. The goal of our practice and the people that we meet with is to remove the fear and uncertainty that we all face, and it goes back to those first years in the market.
I was a sportscaster on television. I grew up in Flint, Michigan. In TV, you bounce around, and went to Mississippi and worked at the NBC station there and covered, college football's big, NFL's big, all that stuff. And a guy I knew relatively well in a different state decided to get out of TV, and in this opportunity I always enjoyed finance and money, and it seemed really exciting. I like to communicate to folks and feel like I can communicate well. It was such a fresh, kind of different career than what I was used to that it was exciting.
We go into every meeting with no place to get. We're there to meet with you, to discover your needs, find out where you are at that point, and how we can help you build and craft that plan for the future.
Welcome back to Your Financial Compass, where today we've been discussing the treasure of your lost and forgotten 401ks, those old workplace retirement plans that you may have left behind. But before we went to break, we just mentioned the retirement tax bill calculator. This is a really valuable resource. We've offered it on the show before, but we want to make sure our viewers watching today are connected with it. So we're going to put this site for you up on the screen below. If you visit bwgtaxbill.com or you click on that QR code, that will take you directly to this retirement tax bill calculator. What are our viewers going to glean from visiting this awesome site?
Well, yeah, be careful what you wish for. Go ahead.
Well,
you're going to get some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Potentially.
So I would say you're able to then take all those old 401ks, IRAs, add them together, put them on this site to see now what do they add up to. Number one, what is my tax bill going to be? If I have all these accounts, I'm 60 years old, I don't need the money, I'm going to take it at 70 or 73, 75. I expect 7% growth. You get to put all this information in. And then what is my tax bill going to be the rest of my life? Maybe now that I realize and remember I have all these 401ks, maybe I should be thinking about Roth conversions. Maybe I should be thinking about the tax advantages that are available if I take the proper steps. So that's a big point that we want to make sure that we drill down. The site bwgtaxbill.com is very simple. You put your name in, your email, your phone number, fill out the information. You're going to get a report right away.
You won't get a bill?
You won't get a bill.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, you won't get a bill. You'll get a report that shows you what your tax bill is going to be for the rest of your life, on average. based on how much you have, if it's taxable, if it's qualified accounts, or if you were to do some conversions, Roth conversions, things like that. But we don't leave you there just with a report and a website. We're going to call you, we're going to check in with you, and we're going to try to answer any questions you have as well.
Yes, wonderful. I know, no doubt, once folks see those numbers side by side for themselves, they're definitely going to say, help me figure this out. Not just the tax piece, but this consolidation piece so that your money can be working hard for you. So what steps do you take for someone when they come to you and they say, hey, look, I know I have these old accounts out there. I want to consolidate them, but I'm overwhelmed. I don't even know where to start. What does the process look like?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, I think what's kept a lot of people from consolidating is they don't know where to start. They don't want to go through the effort.
Right.
And that's understandable. So one of the things that we do is, say we go through the process of working with someone, we and our staff will walk you through that. We'll make the calls. Where we need you, we'll involve you. But generally, we're setting up the phone calls, calling, going on hold, then patching you in. But we're walking you through each step. So it's like, I'd rather you guys do it so don't mess it up. I think a lot of people are concerned about the effort to do it, where to start, and then
or just
messing it up.
Even knowing what questions to ask, or if the company that the custodian they call, again, it's in the custodian's best interest to keep that money.
And they're going to ask, well, do you know about the tax ramifications?
Right.
Like, I didn't know I was going to order pizza. Click, and so we can help walk you through that because we do this all the time. So we know the questions they're going to ask. We can tell you, hey, they're going to ask you this, and just make it that much easier, streamline it, and it's one less thing that you have to worry about.
Well, what are your parting words as we think about this whole thing of going on a treasure hunt and, really gathering up these lost and forgotten accounts?
Well, I mean, I think it's, again, Bulman Wealth Group, we play the role of focusing on 5 major areas, right? It's retirement management, so the assets you have, how do we manage those? Income planning, where are you going to get the income? Which account should you take it from, first, second, third, how much each year, et cetera. Tax planning. What is your tax bill going to be in retirement, and should we make any changes in the investments along the way to get a better tax result through retirement? And then healthcare planning. A lot of people retire at 55, 60. So what are you going to do for healthcare until you get to Medicare age, right? And sometimes people say, well, I'm going to work until 65 because I don't want to not have insurance. Well, we say do a financial plan. If you do a financial plan and it's going to cost you $18,000 a year for healthcare, and you can afford it, why would you work 5 more years instead of just paying for it?
Right.
So those are in tax planning. So those are the 5 areas that we focus on, and legacy planning,
I was
sorry.
going to say taxes are important, but so is legacy.
Yeah, so those are the 5 areas we focus on. If you have these accounts, you want to get some ideas, some advice, pick up the phone, give us a call at the number listed below, or click on the, you always do that so easy, click on the QR code.
It's right here. Now it's
otherwise,
down there.
have a great week. Scott and I and the whole team at Bulman Wealth Group would love to talk to you, and we look forward to meeting you soon. Give us a call, and have a great week.
Wonderful. Chris, Scott, thank you so much, and thank you to our viewers for being here. We look forward to joining you next time here on Your Financial Compass.